Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gills, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure? It's cultist coffee. What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see you this morning. It's a good morning here in the office and, well, at my house. I hope it is for you as well. We've got James and Lynn and Zero the Blade and Robert. Good morning. We had a great conversation again last night. We went longer than I was expected, but we had a members-only stream last night where people wanted to talk. We started off talking about basically the conversations I had with Brianna 2 nights ago about good, evil storytelling and the Satanic Temple, and we took it from there. It was a fantastic conversation. I really appreciate everybody who was there. And if you weren't there and you are a channel member, you can go back and watch that on replay. Love to have you watch and comment. Sable Phoenix was there as well. Good morning, Andrew. So that was a good time. I'm thinking about how all of this evolves. I'm glad that got started, but I keep thinking about how this evolves and how to continue to try to get things done. I'm going to talk about other projects that are coming soon, but I'm not quite ready. I was working yesterday, but I did not get everything done that I wanted to get done yesterday afternoon, and I've got to be gone. I'm going to be gone this evening, so I'm going to try to work for a little while, and then maybe we can start talking about new projects too. I'm hoping that the last of my Goodnight Sword get here. I had to order some extras in order to finish fulfilling the Kickstarter. So there are a couple of them that still have to be sent out, but I was still seeing that I got shipping notifications for the ones that I don't have to sign. They're just going straight to people. So more of those are going out. Of course, when I ordered them a while back ago, but being print on demand takes a little bit of time. So, but not nearly as long as trying to get a whole whole group of them or a whole offset printing press coming from China. So faster than that. But so hopefully I'm hoping they're going to be here today, actually, but maybe tomorrow. We will see. So I thought that we would continue with our discussion of, here we are, GURPS Spaceships. And we were kind of building out some examples of, or using some examples here of trying to build the sports model UFO saucer and also the Tic Tac and trying to see what that is. I really need to start typing this out. Good morning, Stray. Good morning. Let's see here. You try that on my next swim day. Well, we'll see. All right, because just want to be sure. Want to keep moving forward here. Got to make things happen. Really want to make things happen over the next 18 months. Seems like everything is slow though. Okay, let's go over here. Let's bring up GURPS Spaceships. Oh, let's breathe and sip. Actually, got your drink, or got mine right here. Let's breathe and sip. Take care of our mental health before we jump into this. So let's breathe. Let's take 2 deep breaths. Deep inhale, complete exhale, and then take a sip of your favorite beverage, and then we'll get started here. Here we go. And sip. There we go. All right. Feeling better this morning already. Now, let me bring up our document here. There we go. GURPS Spaceships. Now, we had got, this is a necessary, it seems, addendum to the GURPS Space book that we took a look at, because this book has all of the rules. And this is abstract. It's saying fast and abstract starship creation, but there is still quite a bit to it, actually. So where had we gotten? I remember we were taking a look at armor here. Oh yeah, because we'd gotten into what are the different tech levels, and we've got tech levels for different kinds of armor. And we had kind of settled on the Tic Tac and the sports model UFO flying saucer being about tech level 11. And we talked about how we were probably going to have to do some. No, I've been trying. Yes, I've been trying to remember that. Yes. I can't believe there was a phase when I forgot about that. I used to have like a procedure sheet sitting here for the morning grind. And then for some reason that got moved a long time ago and it's never come back because it's sitting someplace here in this awfully messy office here. But it needs to come back. But like I said, we may try to revise some. Now I know that I've also been poor on the World Building Wednesdays because I want to get back to trying to do Ravivania, and we were working on trying to incorporate that into Pathfinder. We were looking at Pathfinder a little while ago, and I have been working on that, but I haven't made a whole lot of progress on that. And then all of a sudden I had to start work on a different project that I'll talk about in a little while. So I had to spend time on that. So, but hopefully, because we were trying to get on some kind of structure and some type of schedule, but then I failed again. So I think looking at armor is what caused us to take a look at tech levels. Cloaking device. I think we looked at we looked at cloaking device and contragravity lifter, and we looked at control rooms, and we were trying to look at we've got control stations and workspaces, And our size crafts here for the Tic Tac is an SM5 craft, and the sports model is an SM6 craft right here. But we fully automated the Tic Tac, so it's not a manned craft. Good morning, Tomocrat. Defensive ECM systems, an array of automatic self-defense jamming antenna, decoy systems, etc., that protects the spacecraft from being hit by enemy fire. Oh, the Tic Tac needs this. Each system gives a -2 to ranged attacks against the vessel. No more than 3 can be installed. It only applies if the defensive ECM systems are of the same or higher tech level as the spacecraft or missile targeting it. And arguably, the sports model does too. But I would say for sure the Tic Tac needs this. Okay, actually, we might need to. Instead of me scratching out all these notes over here. Let's share here. Okay, so this is GURPS Starship design or spaceship design. Let me increase size here. So everybody can see it. And we are trying to work on alien probe, aka the Tic Tac. Is that how you spell Tic Tac? Different from TikTok. Alien probe, aka the Tic Tac. See, so this is going to be, so we said this is tech level 11. It's SM plus 5. It has a streamlined hull. And this is roughly 40 feet. It has 30 tons loaded weight or loaded mass. I think it was. At least to potentially work with. No control center. This is fully automated. And this is just my interpretation of a Tic Tac for an RPG setting. Maybe the Black Cipher. Good morning, PH. Yes, we're talking about the alien probe. Not that kind of probe, though. No control center, fully automated. Okay, there was something right here that's okay. What was? Yeah, this. I'm glad I'm writing this out because otherwise I'm not going to understand my notes. C6, C7. Hey, let's go over here. I think this has some. The complexity is the complexity of the computer system's network. Computer network complexity. Computer network complexity. This is the kind of stuff that maybe is unnecessary, but it says the computer system's network complexity modify by -6 at tech level 7, -4 at tech level 8, -2 at tech level 9, +1 at tech level 11. So the complexity starts at 6. So is that why I have 7 here? I believe it is. So the computer network complexity on board the Tic Tac would be 7. I'm not exactly sure what that means. COM and sensor array. We want this. This is a probe, so it's going to have a lot of that. COM and sensor array complexity. It's tech level -6. This is the system's basic comm sensor array level calculated from its tech level. So tech level -6, this would be a 5. Yeah, okay, I do have, that's why I have a note over here. So again, I don't know exactly what that means, but this is giving us this over here. So there's no control stations and no, because it's automated, and no workspace. That's basically what we had gotten to so far. But we do want this, I want this to be transmedium. My idea here is that this obviously needs to be transmedium, because this can fly and go through water. It needs to do both, well, and also space. So this is something that needs to be capable of operating in a vacuum. This needs to be capable of operating in an atmosphere, and it also needs to be capable of operating underwater. We said that this is fully automated. We need this to be capable of self-repair. This is like AI. Capable of self-repair. I'm not sure what we want to do here. Do we want to make this like a full von Neumann probe that's capable of self-repair? I'll put question mark, capable of duplication. I think that one's kind of questionable. Is it unmanned? Is it unaliened? Yeah, right. Unmanned, unaliened. Right. It's also, my thought here is that this is also unaliened. I'm kind of hesitant to make it go full self-replicating probe, because it's so easy to completely colonize the galaxy if you have a self-replicating probe. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe it's not full capable of complete self-duplication, but it sets up its own little station for self-repair and is capable of keeping itself going for millennia. Keeping itself in operation for millennia. However you spell millennia. There we go. And so this also needs to have faster than light communication, comms and communication. Send reports back to alien headquarters. So whatever it's doing, whatever it's observing, hangs out underwater when it needs repair or whatever, and then reports back to alien space. This also, it needs to be relatively fast too. We were looking at some different kinds of drives. Like, we're gonna have to come up with the right kind of drive for it to have. So it needs to have a star drive, it needs to have a maneuver drive. Probably gravity control. And then it also needs to have some kind of star drive. We'll have to come up with what the star drive for. Well, yeah, it needs to be faster than light, because if the aliens themselves can travel faster than light, it wouldn't make sense for them to be using non-faster than light probes. I guess the idea would be that this goes out there and then reports back what's interesting for the flying saucers. If it's something that's interesting, then the flying saucers arrive. So this does need to have some kind of star drive for faster than light travel. It's got to make sense that, okay, it's out there. Or on the other hand, the aliens could have started sending this out with non-faster than light stuff, and then later develop faster than light travel. So, okay, so that's my notes. This is kind of what I'm trying to do here. This is some of our notes from, we'll have to organize this better up here. But then also we were trying to work on a flying saucer. And we were kind of modeling it off of the sports model that Bob Lazar was talking about. And we said that this is also tech level 11. It's a little bit larger. It's SM size modifier +6. It is approximately 52 feet in, that would be diameter. We said that this could potentially have something like diamondoid armor, like whether or not that like the equivalent, because that was kind of like the tech level 11 armor. So this does have a control room, and right now I'm thinking like crewed by 3 or 4 aliens, like the Greys. It does have, so it has 2 control stations. So maybe it's actually, so crewed, maybe it's crewed. So 2, like an alien pilot and co-pilot. Plus, plus passengers or mission specialists or whatever. If it's a von Neumann probe, then deploying that to a populated star system would constitute an active war. Oh, interesting. Lynn says, depending on the concept, could be launched by a mothership in orbit, then wouldn't need its own star drive. James says, maybe the aliens seed the probes via faster-than-light capable saucers. Or this could be an instance where, maybe this is what we should do. And say that the star drive right here, maybe, because I was saying that we should use some of these other things that we read in GURPS Space for other kinds of ways for spacecraft to maneuver or something. Maybe this is, or faster than light. Maybe they have to shoot these probes out of like a coil gun, the Gauss cannons, like a coil gun or something like that. Maybe they accelerate them and shoot them in the direction for FTL acceleration. So maybe they don't have onboard faster than light, because it would also be weird if the probe came and found something cool and then warped back to the alien homeworld to deliver the message and stuff like that. So I'm kind of thinking that these kind of stay where they're put. So yeah, so acceleration, and then have some way to get themselves out of FTL or out of light speed, and then maneuver toward their planet or whatever. I like that. And then they're not self-replicating, but they are capable of, so we're going to say not, I said duplication, so they're not self-replicating, but they are capable of self-repair and capable of keeping themselves in operation for a potentially very long time. Once the aliens have decided, hey, we're sending a probe over there. But then they can communicate back with using some type of faster than light communications if the probes find something that the aliens need to come and check out. Maybe the aliens seed the probes via a faster than light capable of flying saucers. James says, but maybe the probes use quantum entanglement to instantly transmit information. The communication only needs to go in one direction. Right. Yes. Okay. So we could use, so let's put here, could be quantum entanglement or something for one-way FTL communication with the home world. Or home. Why isn't it like the word home world? Home world or Starbase or whatever. Oh, thank you. Now, I had been forgetting to put the Discord link. I need to get my procedure sheet back again. Please do join the Discord server. Oh, okay. So Orion, if you see Orion, that's Lynn. Well, I also put out like a messages to everybody when we're going live. I don't put out messages when we're going live for the morning grind, but I put out a notice when we're going live with other guests and things like that. Sable Phoenix says the problem with quantum entanglement is that it's impossible to determine which end of the tether originated the communication since it's instantaneous. We'll see if we end up with some kind of super science solution for this, because obviously we're going to have some type of super science in here. So that's okay. So it's kind of what we're doing here with flying saucer. Now, see, we got something about what is the computer complexity on board the flying saucer. And then, okay, and then comms and sensor array. I suppose we're going to find out more about these numbers here, but let's see. So over here, where'd my book go? This is an SM plus 6, so that tells me that the complexity is 7, but I get a +1 at tech level 11. Okay, so that's why I am computer complexity 8 right here. And then comms and sensors is tech level -5. So that should be 6. Yeah, so comm and sensor array 7. We got 2 control stations, so this is something that's actually piloted by the aliens. We'll come up with some way for them to actually come up with some kind of cool way to pilot, because I'm thinking they don't actually have a whole lot of controls and stuff like that. Maybe they have like psi powers or something that controls it. But so I think, I was watching Independence Day, and maybe the aliens have a variety of different crafts, and there needs to be with whether or not they can travel faster than light. Because I like the idea of a mothership. And then that mothership, this is the Independence Day thing. The mothership deployed what I saw they were calling on a whiteboard destroyers. Because those were the destroyers that went over everybody's capital cities and things like that. And then the destroyers deployed fighters. Although apparently the mothership could also deploy fighters as well. That was a problem with that movie that I had, was that they took one of the fighters basically up to the mothership, and the aliens didn't realize it was the one that was lost at Roswell. No, well, we're gonna see. We'll see if we can come up with some way to do that. Well, to make it acceptable, right? Yeah, faster than light communication basically has to be super science. Faster than light communication has already been observed with rumors involving cheerleaders in high school. Having no faster than light communication can make for an interesting feel to a setting, the third Imperium of Traveler, or anything in Paul Anderson's future history. I agree with that, but I guess in those you also don't travel. Do you have faster than light travel? I mean, my issue is that if it seems like if you're going to have faster than light travel, you really also need to have faster than light communication, because it just seems to make sense that you should be able to send a message to somebody faster than you can get there yourself. Yeah, there is faster than light travel. Oh, that's interesting. So it's easier to travel someplace than it is to send a message. That I'm sure that does make a very different kind of feel. But I'm thinking there probably needs to be several kinds of saucers, some of which can travel faster than light, and some that can't. And so rely on a mothership for faster than light transport. But let's go ahead and make this one that can potentially travel faster than light. So this is one that let's go with the idea that, hey, this thing can show up without a mothership, which seems to work with our alien and UFO kind of lore here on Earth anyway, because we don't really see a giant mothership. I figured we would have seen that if there was a giant mothership around. But we do sometimes, according to UFO lore, here, that we do see things like flying saucers. So maybe these are like an advanced ship that comes after the probe. So this is the flying saucer, the sports model. So this needs to have a star drive. Maybe this is the thing that would signal the mothership that, hey, yeah, we've been investigating what that probe says, and we're going to need a mothership out here. Maybe then this communicates back to that. So this is what the aliens send out for investigation. So faster than light star drive. This is like what we're kind of building this on would be like what crash. This is the craft that crashed at Roswell. Might be the craft that crashed at Roswell. It gives a very Age of Sail feel to it. Traveler uses snail mail. Yeah, in fact, it's historically been the case that traveling somewhere yourself is the fastest and most efficient means of communication. Yes, that's true. So if you're going for like the Age of Sail, if you've got to get this piece of paper there, the most efficient way is to just go there yourself. So it is snail mail interstellar edition. Yeah, you're right. You're completely right about that. In fact, that would make it, a return to kind of the Age of Sail kind of thing. Sable Phoenix says, if you want to give yourself a setting where space piracy is a thing, you probably want to put the kibosh on faster than light comms and have to rely on actual faster than light drives on courier ships. There's an equivalent to the Pony Express in the official traveler setting, the X-boat relay system. Yeah, exactly. So it is. That's exactly what the system would be. It's exactly what it would be. Faster than light travel, but not messaging. So the Pony Express is making a comeback. The post office is guaranteed to continue relevance. See, I always like the like in Star Trek Next Generation, because they played fast and loose with these kinds of things. But I like the way that you must be able to communicate with the ships from Starfleet Command. But I always liked the episodes where that wasn't instantaneous. So to me, that's kind of like a hybrid best of both worlds. If you've got the Enterprise out there, but you don't have faster than light communication, then yeah, you're in basically the Age of Sail and you just send the Enterprise out there. which would be cool, because that actually is a reason why starship captains would be even more autonomous and be able to be expected to operate with great autonomy and legal authority and all of that, because once you depart, you can't ever get a communication from Starfleet Command unless some other ship catches up to you, right? I mean, that would be pretty cool. But on the other hand, in that kind of environment, I do like sometimes being able to receive information from Starfleet Command. You know, new orders have come in. The Admiral is on the line. I do like that. But I always liked it when the episodes where they were so far out that they're not able to communicate in real time. So that you'd get, like sometimes they had the Admiral on the screen and it had transmission time down at the bottom and real time, or transmission time and ship's time down at the bottom. So that if there was some kind of communication that was coming in from the Admiral, it's not like Captain Picard could communicate back exactly and get clarification. So to me, that's a good kind of hybrid way to go. Lynn says, I play games like that and they're fun. Faster than light communication can spoil a lot of adventure possibilities. Lynn says, yeah, when I think of how cell phones changed modern adventure stories, I can see the same thing in space adventures. All right. I see where you guys are coming from. I completely see where you guys are coming from. So to me, I like it when the if you're going to have faster than light communication, then it's like the telegram, right? That it comes on and it's like the telegram. Or maybe one way that we could do it is, well, of course, this is for the aliens. This is for the aliens here I'm talking about here. And this is for the sake of example anyway. But you could set up relay stations. If you were able to travel faster than light, maybe there's faster than light relay stations, but you're not always near those. So that would kind of make it like a telegram again. Yeah. It's just a matter of what you want the feel of the campaign world to be. Go with whichever option suits your taste best. And it doesn't have to be synchronous, or it doesn't have to be mutual between the aliens and the humans. The aliens could be doing something that, or obviously, the aliens are doing a lot of things the humans can't do. I do like the idea that the probes are shot out and are kind of in a one-way direction that are faster than light. They need because they need some way to be able to signal the rest of the aliens to show up if they found something cool. Anyway, but that's all very interesting to think about. I think that's really important to think about. We will see. Computer complexity. Okay, so that's basically where we were. I'm going to grab something. I'm already out of drink here. Let me grab something else. Sable Phoenix says, or you could do what Battletech does with hyperpulse generators. Faster than light comms are possible, but are hideously expensive and are controlled by a pseudo-religious monopoly. Interesting. And they're not real time. An HPG pulse is one way. So that's kind of like the expensive telegram. All right, let me grab something else to drink. Okay. Of course, on the other hand, just thinking about that, maybe this doesn't have to be faster than light. I'll just make note of that. On the other hand, Because maybe the aliens don't care. Like, maybe what's going on as far as the probes go, they really don't care. Maybe the aliens, it is not faster than light, and the aliens don't care. And hey, it may be decades or hundreds of years before that message gets back, before the communication from the probe gets back to say we found something interesting. And maybe they just don't care, because maybe that timeline is just not something that maybe they're not interested in instant communication, or don't care that if they're trying to look at some planet that's evolving in some way, then, hey, it's enough the probe would say, hey, yeah, this one looks like we've got, I found this really interesting fish here. Well, as long as you get the message in time before the fish is evolved to something else, then the aliens can show up. Maybe they do only care when you go to faster than light. Everything else is just kids playing in their sandbox. On top of the Comstar controls the legal tender exchange rates for all the inner sphere. So not only is the value of the C-bill based on the HPG cycles, but they issue the C-bills themselves. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know anything about Battletech on that side. Steel Mongoose says the limitations on faster than light communications have story potential, though. Characters who rely on real-time communication face something new when the communication can't work. All right, let's go over here. Let's bring back up. So we said defensive ECM. We were just looking at that tech level 7 INI, an array of automatic self-defense jamming antenna. It seems like that's something that at least the Tic Tacs could have, because aren't there reports that, oh, we were being jammed or something? So it seems like they should be able to do that. Decoy systems that protect the spacecraft from being hit by enemy fire. Each system gives a -2 to ranged attacks against the vessel. No more than 3 can be installed. It only applies to defenses if the defenses of the ECM system are of the same tech level or higher than the spacecraft or missile targeting it. So it requires no workspaces. Okay, so we need to be aware. I need to start making sure I'm placing my things in their slots, in their spacecraft slots, like we talked about last time. So alien probe. Okay, so we have a control center. We do have armor. And now we're going to have defensive. So ECM, electronic countermeasures. And basically, we've got the same thing for the flying saucer right now. In fact, we might even put a couple of defensive countermeasures on the flying saucer. We'll see how many things we end up needing to stack up. It's possible. The jamming effect could simply be a side effect of the drive the craft is using. Could be. But it's probably better to be explicit and install a dedicated system in the game. Engine room. Small spacecraft, size 6 to 9, whose crew wish to perform repairs and maintenance without exiting the vehicle should have an engine room system. An engine room includes rooms, tools, and parts sufficient to maintain and repair the craft. It isn't required on SM +5 to 9 craft, but lacking one lowers the HT and makes repairs harder. An engine room comes with one control station. An engine room should be placed in the same or adjacent hull section as the majority of the drives or power plants. SM +10 or larger spacecraft do not require an engine room system. although all systems that require maintenance work include workspaces integral to them, manned by their listed crew requirements. Okay, well, it seems like in both the case of the Tic Tac and the case of the flying saucer, we would want the aliens to be able, we would want the AI on board the probe to be able to repair itself without having to exit the craft. Maybe it uses nanites or something like that. And it also seems like those aliens need to be able to repair their craft on board the flying saucer without having to exit the flying saucer. So maybe we need engine rooms. You have to prioritize in a small craft, engine room or holodeck. BGD says, I think you'd love the narrative of the Battletech universe, Heath. There are a few examples of lore anywhere in gaming that are as comprehensive, immersive, or consistently high in quality. Really? Oh. Maybe I would then. So let's say that potentially we need an engine room in both. The control center is going to be in the core. We have to come back and sort all of that out. But the control center, I believe, in both should be a core system. Well, I was wondering how that compares to Games Workshop. So both people are saying this. It's because I know people love the Warhammer 40K lore. Okay, so enhanced multi. So I guess I should make note that that is the engine room has a workspace. One workspace. We will see. Next up, enhanced multi-purpose science and tactical communication sensor arrays. Many spacecraft have only a basic comm sensor array, see control room. Okay, that's what we were working with. But some have more sophisticated systems. Okay, so maybe the Tic Tac needs this. This is a large multifunction sensor and communications array. It uses an embedded phased array or rotating antenna for communications and sensors. Installation of more than one array is rare, except for specialized space observatories or intelligence spacecraft. There are 4 types. Enhanced array, a larger and more capable version of the basic array that comes with a control room system. A science array incorporates highly sensitive instruments for use in astronomical and physics surveys, as well as the equipment as an enhanced array. Tactical array has the same capabilities as an enhanced array, but adds the ability to actively jam transmissions and overcome defensive ECMs. Multi-purpose array combines science and tactical array functions. All arrays integrate active sensors, passive sensors, and a comm suite into a single system. This array is rated for its type and comm sensor array level based on SM and TL, e.g. an SM +8 spacecraft built at Tech Level 10's level is Tech Level 9. The array levels are the same for all types. The only difference are in their special abilities. So we got a 5 and a 6 level craft here, or size craft. The comm sensor level determines the telescopic vision level of the array's passive sensors. For other capabilities, see comms and sensors on page 44. See design switches for various super science upgrades. Okay, we'll have to get to those later. I think the Tic Tac, obviously, I think by our conceptualization here, needs an enhanced multi-purpose science, an enhanced science array, because that's what it's doing. So let's go over here and on the we're going to have science specialized science array. Did that again say that it was like a one workspace thing? No workspace. Okay, so we're too small. I'm not sure if I want the flying saucers to be tactical or not. Like, how often do these things, like, do I want, like, am I actually trying to build a fighter here? Something tells me no, because like I don't see a whole lot of stuff in like our UFO lore that where the aliens are like shooting at you. Now they did in Independence Day, so then that would make sense for their fighter craft to have a tactical array because they're shooting the classic green kinds of laser beams at something. But in our classic UFO lore today, do we have a lot of discussion about when like an alien starts shooting at you? They seem to not do that a lot. It seems like. So maybe later with a dedicated like fighter craft that doesn't have faster than light travel. I don't know. But does that mean that we also put an advanced science array on it? These things, we're going to need to be able to differentiate these more. We'll have to come up with if we want any kind of weapon systems on board the flying saucer. Seems like there should be something. Even if you, at least for like clearing space debris or something like that. So probably something. External clamp. I think this is like the clamp on the Millennium Falcon when Luke Skywalker can dock and clamp his X-wing to the Millennium Falcon. This is a system of clamps or grapples that allows the vessel to attach itself to another spacecraft or object the vessel has rendezvoused with. Attachment takes at least 20 seconds. The subject must be cooperative or drifting. A clamped spacecraft can be towed or pushed. To determine performance, calculate tons of thrust. A vessel's tons of thrust are equal to its acceleration and times its mass. If it pulls or pushes a vessel or other heavy object, such as an asteroid, divide their combined mass to get the new acceleration rating. I don't think that we need clamps. Factory, tech level 8. Oh, this does require energy. Have we added something that requires special PowerPoints? I don't think we have yet. It's possible that we need, the contragravity lifter. Many contragravity systems are treated as reactionless drives. The system works differently. It selectively nullifies some or all of the pull of gravity on the spacecraft, but does not actually provide any acceleration. A spacecraft with contragravity lifters can take off from in a world regardless of its gravity. It's possible that we need contragravity lifters on this, which do require a PowerPoint. I'm going to make a note that maybe we should be looking at contragravity lifters. Because we do know they float there. Like the Tic Tac needs to be able to float there indefinitely. And it seems like that's something that the flying saucer can do as well. And if so, that does require a PowerPoint. But a factory. Lynn says aliens these days either come in peace or start blowing up your cities. Yeah, there's one or the other, right? Why would the aliens bother shooting at us? We don't have anything that could actually hurt them back. It would be like a rabbit rancher carrying his sidearm out to the back 40. Just unnecessary. They might not shoot at us. Yeah, right, exactly. I'm thinking more about the kidnappy kind. Right. But that doesn't necessarily mean there isn't something else out there they need to fight. I'm wondering if we need to put shields on them. I don't think we've gotten to shields yet, but I think shields are on here. So are the spacecraft shielded? It could just be they don't ever feel the need to return fire on us, or something like that. But that doesn't mean there's not something else out there in the galaxy that they might need to shoot at. And if aliens who could travel faster than light did actually invade, just their ability to manipulate space-time and gravity by extension would serve as weaponry enough. There's nothing in the laws of physics that forbids degravitizing matter to produce contragravity. We just have no idea how it might be done. Okay, factory, tech level 8, any, but requires a PowerPoint. This is an industrial system capable of fabricating spare parts and other goods. Use machinist skill to operate it. The dollar per hour entry in the table shows the production capacity in hours per hour's worth of good it can assemble if provided with appropriate blueprints. Factories are unavailable for small SM+5 craft. That means, because actually I was thinking that, we need a factory on board the Tic Tac, because that's how it's going to keep itself going for millennia. But it actually says that factories are unavailable for small craft. So fabricator level 8 is a high-tech machine shop, requires component parts equal in mass and cost 40% of the goods value. A RoboFac as above, but faster and more capable of self-operation with its own machinist skill. Nanofactory is a cornucopia capable of manufacturing goods from raw materials, carbons, metals, etc. Requires an equivalent mass and raw materials. See, that's what I was kind of thinking that the Tic Tac would set up. Some kind of nanofactory to keep it self-repaired and operating. Replicator seems like too much. Okay, might have to come back to factory then. Oh, here are the 4 screens. Tech level 11 super science, and they require a PowerPoint. This system generates a protective force field around the entire vessel. It protects all hull sections, not just the one that's installed in. It's rated for the semi-ablative DDR that it provides. The table below, the table shows the field's DDR and cost per high energy system. Subtract 4 screens DDR first, then any armor DDR on the hull section struck. A 4 screen regenerates 10% of its lost DDR every second, provided that it is powered up. During space combat turns, which represent several seconds to several minutes, the screen is assumed to completely regenerate lost DDR every turn, but it offers reduced protection against repeated attacks during the turn. The spacecraft may only have 1 4 screen up at any one time. Screens may be light or heavy. A light screen is a relatively inexpensive design, used listed DDR. Heavy 4 screens. High-powered screens, it may function as a light screen, or it can double the DDR by using a second PowerPoint to reinforce the field. The screen only provides protection when powered up. For more or less powerful screens and other options, see force screen variants on page 32. I'm tempted to put a 4 screen on the flying saucer. That would give it 30 DDR and would make it look like the bubble, in Independence Day when the missiles hit and things like that. It hits the bubble, like the Enterprise has the bubble around it when its screens are up, the Enterprise D. So this would make it, look like that, and something is going to hit that. That would actually decrease the need for armor, I think. I kind of feel like that might be better for the aliens, rather than trying to come up with some really complex armor for the aliens. It needs to be some kind of weird metal on the spacecraft is made out of. But if it's really light, for instance, and it's like the stuff that you can crumple up and then let it return to its shape, maybe when the spacecraft is encountering something that would really damage it, it uses 4 screens. So that's a possibility. Rather than having to go like diamondoid armor or something, maybe we go some other type of armor, and then say that it has light screens and heavy screens. Like, let's give, this isn't a combat vessel, so maybe we just give it light force screen, which would give it 30 DDR. Why don't we do that? We'll see what people are saying in the comments. You might have a better idea. But the probe might just have to rely on armor. But the flying saucer, light force screen, ED R30. Let's see. You may have found a hole in the rules then. You should be able to carry a factory building module. Something compact that you turn loose to use local resources to build the factory itself. Yeah, maybe. Yes, maybe. I'm going to make a note of that. Factory, because that may be more like payload. So maybe it's trying to say like perhaps, because I'm actually thinking that like that's the reason that it operates underwater. I think it has its own, it sets up its own little base station down there. So maybe what it does is has payload. So factory in a payload. And then once it like finds a place underwater that it's going to like, all right, this is where I'm going to hang out and do all of my probing. This is my home base, my probe. Then it like deploys this factory that starts, so it has a little home base where it can come and dock if it needs repair or something like that. So yeah, we've got to account, I think, using this conceptualization of the Tic Tac for some ability to repair itself and keep itself in operation for a long time. Actually, that's another reason why they're, if it's going to send this out to some kind of planet and see like what's evolving there, what's going on, it's just going to hang out on this planet for a long, long time. Maybe the faster than light stuff, it becomes less of a factor, but it needs to be able to repair itself. Humans shot a lot of buffalo going west for fun. Maybe the aliens are just heading west or portward, and they shoot at us because they're bored. They could be. I don't care if it's light or heavy, as long as the force screen keeps out the space mosquitoes. Steel Mongoose says maybe they shout at us because they've seen our music videos. All right, what's next? Fuel tank. This is a fuel tank of reaction mass for a reaction drive. A spacecraft with one or more reaction drive engines requires at least one fuel tank with appropriate reaction mass to supply those drives. A high technology alternative to fuel tanks for drives that use hydrogen is a ram scoop. The table shows the tons of fuel stored in each fuel tank system and the cost of each fuel tank system without fuel. See refueling for the cost to refuel a tank. The more fuel tanks that can supply a particular reaction drive, the greater the ship's delta V, as indicated on the reaction drive engine description. This is the spacecraft's delta V reserve, the maximum total velocity change it can make. For example, a spacecraft that is using any number of Tech Level 9 nuclear thermal rocket engines for propulsion receives a delta V of 0.3 MPS per fuel tank. If it had 4 fuel tanks, its delta V reserve would be 1.2 MPS. A reaction drive space performance improves if it has a ratio of fueled to dry mass, since it gets lighter as the tanks are empty. If 6 or more fuel tanks supply a particular reaction drive, multiply delta V per tank as shown below. To account for efficiency in burning reaction mass. Example, a ship with a chemical rocket engine with a delta V of 0.15 MPS per tank has 15 fuel tanks, so delta V per tank is times 1.08 or 0.27 MPS per tank. Also see coolant tanks for other options. I don't think we need a fuel tank right now because we're going to need these are the aliens with some super science going on. So they're going to have to come up with some we're going to have to come up with some other way other than like just fuel tanks on board the flying saucer makes sense, or fuel tanks on board the Tic Tac makes sense. I think not. So fuel tanks, that's important if you're using reaction mass. So we need some type of I think we need reactionless drives. So we need to come up with reactionless drives for both the Tic Tac and the flying saucer. Oh, leg day, take care of leg day. Okay, so shoot at us, not shout at us. Okay, habitat. Provides living quarters and extended life support for spacecraft crewed during long voyages. A habitat includes a pressurized hull, radiation shielding, and a variety of standard features such as airlocks, hatches, compartmentalization, and elevators. It can contain several different types of facilities. Bunk room, cramped accommodations with bunk beds for up to 4 people. Used for enlisted crew, troops, or colonists. Cabin, quarters for one person in comfort or shared by 2 occupants. Cell or cage, Spartan accommodations equivalent to bunk but with fewer amenities. Includes a barred door, electronic lock, and surveillance camera. Luxury cabin, a suite with very comfortable quarters for 1 or 2 occupants. Steerage cargo, unused tonnage in a habitat is usually attached to cargo. This is a good way to use up excess capacity. Steerage cargo is pressurized and climate controlled, so it can be used for livestock or delicate goods. Okay, so obviously we don't need any habitat on board the Tic Tac because it's automated. But what do we think about this as far as our flying saucer goes? I'm thinking, when we hear the description of since we're kind of going by a Bob Lazar description here, he didn't talk about habitats and things like that. So I'm kind of thinking that even though this flying saucer can travel faster than light, it's not really something that the aliens live in long term. So we said there could be like the fighter craft that's the really short term kind of thing has got to return to its mothership. Now the mothership would have habitats and accommodations. But it's also possible that biologically the aliens don't really need habitats. So, this seems like something that the aliens would be in for longer than 24 hours. But maybe it's something about their biology that they don't really need to make sure they have cabins and luxury cabins. That seems weird to have on board this flying saucer. So I think that something about the aliens makes that unnecessary. But also, I'm kind of thinking that they return, if you're going to be doing, where do the aliens do their experimentation if they're, grabbing people and abducting people? Does that happen on board this flying saucer, or does this flying saucer take that person to a mothership where that's when all of the experimentation happens? Bob Lazar didn't describe medical facilities, medical experimentation facilities on board the craft either. So I'm kind of thinking that has to be taken someplace. Well, even reactionless drives require a power source, which implies fuel of some sort. Yeah, we've got to have some way to generate power. We do have to add that onto the ship somehow. But if it's a dilithium crystal, we'll see how this handles the power generation, because I think that I think that was just for the reaction mass. So we're definitely going to have some type of power generation on board this craft. Absolutely. If it's the sports model that Bob Lazar talks about, you just need 3 generators and they'll warp space around you to allow you to fall forward to your destination. Yes, the falling forward, I think we read about that in GURPS Space. So whatever the falling forward gravity generator is, I think that's the one that needs to go on board the flying saucer. Absolutely. I think that is exactly the one that we need. The fuel is self-contained in the reactors. Well, also, many people say the Greys are essentially biological androids of such. They have no creature comforts requirements. Right. That's kind of what I'm thinking too. That's why I'm going with, okay, they kind of hang out on board this really central area of this flying saucer, but they don't need to go lay down. And then Sable Phoenix says, oh, now we need to build the mothership too. Well, later. Maybe later. Being Greys, their living might just be a tube with liquid foods. Maybe sparse living. Could be. Yeah, it could be. Specialized room for habitats. I don't think we need to be doing teleporting. a laboratory. And some of these things we may have to come back to. This is the first time I've actually tried to make a spaceship out of this. Hangar bay, a bay capable of storing, launching, and retrieving other vehicles, spacecraft, trucks, etc. Okay, so that seems like not something that we need to have on board either the saucer or the probe. But the mothership would have to have hangar bays in order to have the UFOs, the flying saucers come in. Jet engine. Now that's what's on board the Tomcat. We had also started to make a Tomcat because I think it'd be fun to make a Tomcat that's been souped up with some super science. We'll do that too. But jet engine, that's not what's operating these aliens. A jump gate. This is one side of an artificial wormhole portable that connects to another distant jump gate. So we're not using that right now. That doesn't seem like our propulsion system. Mining and refinery. These systems require a crew member using mechanic mining skill to supervise operations. Probably not what we're doing here. Open space. This system is a pressurized hall or other large open space. It contains one or more open areas such as an auditorium, farm, garden, pool, theater, or zoo with a room for up to 100 people to congregate. Not something that is in either the flying saucer or the Tic Tac. Passenger seating. This is an alternative to habitat. For short voyage or small spacecraft. The system contains a number of airliner-style passenger seats separated by aisles. 2 seats may be replaced by one stabilized stretcher for casualty evacuation. It includes 24 hours of limited life support per passenger seat or stretcher. The table shows number of seats. Okay, so we do need passenger seating in the saucer. Let's put that down. So we're saying that it can be crewed by 2, but then passenger seating or controlled by 2. But then that actually gives us a potential for a lot of aliens. I like that. Passenger seating 6 inside a size 6 craft. So that means they could bring 8 total aliens along on this flying saucer, which I like. That sounds pretty good. It could be as few as 2 operating the flying saucer, but it could be as many as 6. That gives them plenty of time to have or extra space to have like a small squad of soldiers, or they could be other scientists or mission specialists of other kinds. So I like that. So passenger seating inside the. Please do like. It's like the hybrid fighters from Stargate 1. Nice. 2 crew and 2 passengers and no one to push the drink trolley. Maybe that's just the tube. All the passenger seating has that liquid refreshment tube they can just stick in themselves. So power plant chemical energy. This power plant, so this is power like we were talking about. Power plant reactor. Okay, so actually now we're talking about power. So power plant chemical energy, tech level 7 energy. This power plant is a high efficiency chemical energy closed cycle power plant using hydrogen and liquid oxygen, much like a chemical rocket. So we've got fuels. This isn't what the aliens are using. So let's go down to power plant reactor, starting at tech level 8 any. These may be the most common spacecraft power plants. We've got fission at tech level 8. This is a high performance nuclear fission reactor, or on very large vessels, a series of several reactors. Each system provides 1 power point. It will operate for 25 years on internal fuel at tech level 8, 50 at tech level 9, and 75 at tech level 10 plus. Fusion, tech level 9, uses a thermonuclear fusion reaction. Each system provides 2 power points. It has internal fuel for 50 years at tech level 9, 200 years at tech level 10, 600 years at tech level 11. So we're at tech level 11. So like, what is this probe supplied by? The probe is going to be out there for a long time. So it's got enough fuel for 600 years at tech level 11 or 1,500 years at tech level 12. The reactor may be able to derate it to provide only 1 power point, doubling endurance and halving cost. At tech level 9, fusion reactors can only be used at SM-10 or larger vessels. There is no limit at 10 plus. Okay, so that's good. At tech level 9, this is big, so it's only available on SM 10 plus vessels, but we're tech level 11 with these aliens, so we could have fusion on board that probe, and I'll have to check how many power points our probe needs, but if we derated it, that would give us 1,200 years of probe energy if we're only generating 1 power point. But also antimatter. Okay, we've got, antimatter and superfusion. This seems pretty good. Antimatter is tech level 10. Uses a matter-antimatter reaction. If damaged, it may explode. Each system provides 4 power points. Internal fuel gives 2 years of endurance at tech level 10. 20 years, that's short. 20 years at tech level 11. Or 200 years at tech level 12. It may be derated to reduce cost and add endurance. So super fusion, this is tech level 11, an exotic fusion system, muon catalyzed or black hole catalyzed, for example, or a design that uses force fields, gravity control to contain the reaction for better performance. Provides 4 power points for 400 years at tech level 11 or 1,000 years at tech level 12. Can be derated for less cost and additional endurance. So our total conversion, that's getting tech level 12. So our powering our Tic Tac so potentially could be fusion for up to 1,200 years at 1 power point. Or we could have superfusion see, but that's only 400 years. So add 25% to endurance. So add another 100 years. So 400 plus 100 if you derate it, and then you derate it again, and then you derate it again. So you're getting 1 power point. That only gets you 700 years of useful life. So it may be that they use a fusion drive that gets them a lot of power points. Hopefully I don't need more than 1 power point on board that probe. It might not last long enough. I mean, the probe can also refuel itself. I'd argue the fuel reserve lifetimes for fusion and antimatter should be reversed. Sable Phoenix says, I feel like any kind of technology base that has faster than light travel will regard fusion power as pedestrian. Let's see. So we do need to you regard fusion power as pedestrian. It might not last long enough, but we need the probe to be able to resupply itself. Its power source. So maybe there is some kind of limit on its current supply, fuel supply, but if it can't resupply itself for some reason, then it would go inoperable. But it's only got to resupply itself after only several hundred years. Tomocrat says, in the UFO, wouldn't it use cells for the people that they abduct? But Sable Phoenix says, no, they just put them in a stasis field and stack them in the corner. But that's where do you put? I'm just gonna make a note. What do they do with abductees? But cage or medical stretcher or whatever. Maybe there's some limited stuff that they can do to somebody on board the craft before they have to get it to a mothership or something. Stray says local solar powered. I'm going to make note of that too. But for the flying saucer, it sounds like they should be using super fusion. But is that super fusion? We do have to make note here someplace. So potentially down here on the flying saucer, we're going to be using a super fusion drive or power plant. Not super fusion drive, but super fusion power plant. And we do have to remember we need to bring in here element 115 someplace. Although I think that has to do more with the gravity drive than the power generation. Okay, a ram scoop tech level 10. We're not worrying with ram scoops here. Reaction drive engines. So most maneuver drive engines require spacecraft. For the spacecraft are reaction engines. They propel the spacecraft through normal space according to Newtonian principles, expelling mass to generate thrust. They can only operate if the spacecraft has at least one fuel tank with appropriate reaction mass. They are rated for acceleration in gravities per engine. 3 engine systems representing a bigger engine or engine cluster triples acceleration. A reaction drive-propelled spacecraft's top speed, or delta V, does not depend on number of engines, but rather the type of engine and the number of fuel tanks of reaction mass the spacecraft has. For example, a spacecraft propelled by 1 or more Tech Level 8 nuclear thermal rocket engines can achieve a maximum delta V of 0.3 MPS per fuel tank of hydrogen reaction mass available. How much delta V does a reaction drive spacecraft need? It depends on the mission. See Chapter 3. Some examples. 5.06 MPS of delta V and 1 gravity plus acceleration lets a spacecraft blast off from Earth into low orbit. 2.1 MPS of delta V lets a spacecraft in Earth orbit achieve escape velocity. 12 MPS of delta V lets a spacecraft that has achieved Earth escape velocity travel from Earth orbit to Mars in about 11 hours. Mars orbit in about 6 months. Oh, no, excuse me. To the moon in about 11 hours. I thought that was fast. I was like, you can get to the Mars? No. You can get to the moon in 11 hours. Mars orbit in 6 months, or to Jupiter in about 20 months, including decelerating the vessel. Spending more or less delta V will proportionally affect the travel time. 4,000 MPS of delta V lets a spaceship travel from our solar system to Alpha Centauri in about 400 years, including deceleration time at about 1% the speed of light. Tomocrat says, if there isn't anything like a stasis room, I would suggest using the cell room and have it hold 2 to 4 people that are in stasis. You know, they don't always have to be going out to pick up people, too. So there needs to be some type of zone there, or just general work area where the aliens can work on board a craft to examine whatever it is the probe says they need to take a look at. And then you could put abductees in there too. So there needs to be some type of other zone on board the craft. It's not going to be large because this isn't a large craft, but it probably should be there. That way they're not always having to do away missions. Where's my book? Here it is. Okay, reaction engine, chemical, and HEDM rockets. Okay, we're not doing reaction drives. Reaction engine, electric. Reaction engine, fission. Reaction engine, nuclear pulse. Reaction engine, fusion. Reaction engine, total conversion, matter and antimatter. So here are the reactionless engines. So these maneuver drives allow the vessel to accelerate without using up reaction mass. Top speed is near light speed, near C, optionally much less or variable. But each engine has a high energy system, but each engine is also a high energy system that requires one power point. Rotary reaction mass. This is the Dean drive. For example, a Dean drive using oscillating rotating masses, but that's super science. Not that we're not going to need super science, but let's not use that one. Standard reactionless, tech level 10 plus. Each engine gives 0.5 G of acceleration at tech level 10. Hot reactionless has a waste heat signature equivalent to conventional drive exhaust. Super reactionless, tech level 11 super science. Reactionless drive with 50 G of acceleration at tech level 11 or 100 G at tech level 12. Subwarp, each engine gives 500 G of acceleration. Also use this for most warp drives that can downshift to operate as reactionless drives. It will almost always be a pseudo velocity drive. So potentially a super reactionless drive on board potentially on board both. Let's put this as a potential here. I'm going to make note that requires a PowerPoint. It doesn't seem like the probe would need to worry about being all that fast all that often, but apparently it is. Tic Tacs are. Reconfigurable system. Tech level super science or tech level 11. A system that can be designed as a multifunction device that can alter its shape and capacity and capabilities. Transformation requires 20 seconds. Cost is the combined cost of all systems it can transform into times the number of transformations. Power consumption is that of the current configuration. Okay, I don't think we need that. Robot arm. Soft landing system. A re-entry shield, airbags, or parachutes designed to allow a vessel that lacks wings, thrust, or contragravity to land safely from low orbit. I guess maybe we do need contragravity then to make sure they can land. The system that deploys automatically and is destroyed after landing. It must be replaced each time it's used. Okay, so we're not having that on our ship. Solar panel array hull. A solar power system, if exposed to sunlight, it generates one power point. A solar panel array is an exposed system and not protected by spacecraft armor. So here is our solar panel array. Could the probe deploy one of those? Maybe. Space sail. Oh, here we've got star drive engines. How much time have we got? Oh, I've got some other things I've got to do. Okay, well, this is actually a good place to stop. So tomorrow, then we'll start talking about the star drive engines. I'll save our notes over here. So this is GURPS spaceship design. And that sounds pretty good. Tomorrow, we will start with what star drives to put on board these things. This has been fun. I've been enjoying this. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I've got to go and head out to do some other things, but I hope everyone has enjoyed it as well. Please go be creative, be productive, and I will see everybody tomorrow morning. Later.